الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما شاء الله لا قوة إلا بالله يا حي يا قيوم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعليه وتراته بيد كل من منك أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه يا حي يا قيوم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So, approximately in, let's say maybe January of 1989, I started going up to people and asking them, I wasn't a Muslim at the time. I've told this story before, but there's a point to it, why I'm telling it again. I went up to people and I would ask them if they looked like they were from a different culture. You know, I'm a white guy, born here, you know, so if I saw you, I might go up to you, you look Moroccan or, you know, Yemeni or, you know, I don't know. So in any case, anybody who looked different, you know, I would go up to them and say, you know, why don't you, I'd introduce myself and I say, you know, I'm interested in your culture, where are you from, what do you do, you know, and went up to some Hindus, and I don't know if you know what Amish people are. Went up to some Amish people, and yeah, I went up to anybody. You know, you politely introduce yourself, and you ask them to tell you about them. Most people just love talking about themselves, so they're pretty happy as long as you're polite. And so I, you know, after months, I was on a train coming out of Philadelphia. My family lived in South Jersey at the time. I was 22, and heading back up to Hartford, where I was going to school, and and I'm going back to the dining cart, and there's a African black sister, and she, you know, hijab and everything, and she's got her kids, young children, like 1, 2, and 3 kind of ages. I mean, you know, very close in age, very small children, and her husband was asleep across the aisle on a chair, stretched out. And so, you know, I just asked her, same thing. Hi, I'm Michael Payne. You know, I'm just interested in your culture. Where are you from? She goes, have a seat. I'm a Muslim. I'll tell you about Islam. And I was like, yeah, okay. You know, I'm on a train. I'm not going anywhere. So, I sit down and she spends maybe 15, 20 minutes telling me about Islam. And, and when I look back at the things that she told me, it was really like just bits of information. It wasn't even organized, you know. It wasn't like a Bayaan or an inspiring thing or this. She was just like, oh yeah, we believe in Allah and there's some angels and their food is dhikr. And she was just telling me bits of information. Nothing organized, right? And that's an important point that I'll come back to. So then I go off because the train splits in New Haven, and I come to Hartford, and she was going back on to Rhode Island where she lived. She said she lived in Rhode Island, right? And she used to be part of the Nation of Islam many years ago, right? So, I come up to Hartford. So that was in July. So July 4th, that was July 4th. And then, instantly after that, I kept thinking to myself, maybe she's right. Look at the information she gave me. It was pieces of information that were not organized, just these desperate bits of information. There's Allah and we believe in Him, and there's angels, and there's some paradise there, and there's hellfire. I'm like, being a non-practicing Christian, I knew all that. And she goes, Prophet Muhammad is the last prophet, and all of these things. And, I kind of knew all that, right? I knew all that. But it was a believing, I hadn't heard it from a believing Muslim yet, right? And so I kept thinking to myself, maybe she's right. It was the 4th of July, and then for the next few days, I literally kept asking myself, or saying to myself, maybe she's right, maybe she's right, maybe she's right. I was living in West Hartford along Prospect Street, just a bunch of college kids. It was the summer before my senior year of college. I'm 22. We're just doing the college life. And, maybe she's right, maybe she's right. Then a few days later, I call, I call the masjid on Hungerford Street. It was the Islamic Center of Connecticut at the time. And I just called them up. I say, how do you become a Muslim? I mean, there was no, they didn't need to sell me on Islam. Oh, the other piece is that I'm walking down the street before that, and I kept thinking, maybe she's right, maybe she's right. And then I said, I'm at the corner of Trout Brook and West Boulevard, right? And I say, all right, Jesus, what do you want me to do? Because in the Bible, there's a verse that says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, ask, knock, and the door will be opened. And I was like, I had no idea what to do with my life. So I remembered that verse from the Bible, and I put my entire eternity on the line. And I said, Jesus, what do you want me to do? And I got no reply. I remember standing on the street corner. I was out getting some exercise, and I remember going like this, right? And then I said, "All right, God," because that's all I knew. Just, "All right, God, what do you want me to do?" Bam. The reply was instantaneous, and it was basically, "If you want to find me, this is the way. Islam is the way. If you want to find me, this is how to find me." Right? So then a few days later, I get up the courage and dig this, right? I go to the Muslim Student Association in University of Hartford where I was going, and I go there and I'm like, I'm really shy at this point, I'm like, and I'm like, hey, I didn't take Shahada yet, and I was like, hey, how do you guys pray? And they were just like, they had no idea what to say. They had no idea what to say, right? They said, call the masjid in Hartford. And so that's what I did. And I called them. They said, come down Friday and you could take Shahada. I was like, great. So I took Shahada and met my Emir, the one that, we all know, who doesn't come anymore because of his health. But I met him that day. And, and as they say, the rest is history. So since then, my Emir, he taught me to read the Quran. So now I don't speak Arabic, and I can't say that I read it with as much eloquence and beauty as an Arab speaker, certainly. But as many of you can hear from my khutbah and when I lead salat. But in any case, I struggle and I try to do it, and I by the grace of Allah, I do my salat and It's in the hands of Allah, whether it's accepted or not. Mashallah, we have a pantry over there, and since so I learned Salat, and I read the Quran, and I memorize some surahs, and I do some stuff. I'm not sitting here praising myself, but these are the basic sort of things that Muslims should be doing, and may Allah make my efforts sincere, all of our efforts sincere, and anything that we do, may Allah give us excellence in all of our ibadah. But I've been doing that since 1989, right? And I have a wife now, and I've had a wife for almost 30 years now, and I've got 2 kids, and and so and then the other thing is that since 1992. We started doing dawah. Before we were here in this building, we were in my Amir's basement, right? He lives just a few minutes away, and we started there, right? There was a musalla, and we'd go there for 5 times salat and everything, But that's where we started, and from there we started going out and doing dawah. And it was very basic at first. We had sort of this memorized Bayaan, and we were kind of unfamiliar with it and sort of scared about going out and visiting people. But we got to be more familiar with it and the confidence came from the more experience you have a little more confidence, you're a little easier about it and things like that. Since 1992, this small Jumu'ah has been doing the humble efforts, and many times I've come to some of your homes, I remember, So that woman who sat on that train, just sitting there, and gave me desperate bits of information, nothing organized, no logical thoughts, just there's a law, he has a last prophet, there are some angels, they do, their food is dhikr. I don't even know if that's correct or not, if there's some hadith. I don't know, but I just remember her saying that to me. And yet, any of my deeds that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted, and I never saw her again. That was it. She went off to Rhode Island. Right? And she has the 3 beautiful, adorable kids. She's got her husband there. Everything that whatever Allah has deemed acceptable is now written in her book of deeds. Everything that I've ever done, everything my children have ever done is written in her book of deeds. And on the day of judgment, there is 3 times in which we will only think of ourselves. Number 1, the first one is when we are being handed our book of deeds. Will we receive it in our right hand, and will we receive it in our left? We won't be thinking about our jobs. We'll be naked as the day we were born. We'll be naked, right? We won't be thinking about our wives. We won't be thinking about our children. We'll only be thinking about ourselves. And that's it. So any and all deeds that I may have performed that are acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala since I took Shahada in 1989 will be written in her book. For that simple effort of taking time out and speaking to me about Allah. Speaking to me about Allah. Every Sunday for the past 34, 35 years, our Jamaat here, sinful brothers, struggling, none of us are anything to write home about. None of us are particularly pious, particularly great, really much of anything. But we spend a few minutes, we do some talim, and then we go out. It's Sunday, we meet at 9:30, as it says over there. 9:30 in the morning, we meet, do a little talim, we're out the door by 10, right? And if it's too cold, we don't go, right? If it's too cold or raining, we don't go, right? But if the weather's nice, we go, we either go to Waterbury, half hour away, or we go to New Britain or Hartford. Because we need places where there's good pedestrian traffic. We have a table. We have a sign on the table that says, "Discover the beauty of Islam." Discover the beauty of Islam. And we have some little booklets about Islam. We've got some English-only Qur'ans, and we've rehearsed some Bayaan. So we have an organized thought that we can present to anybody who wants to, know what we're doing. But they come up to the table, they see the sign there that says "Discover the beauty of Islam." They see a Quran there. They can figure out why we're there pretty quickly, right? Right. So, if the return of doing that action is that and some people have taken Shahada. Some people have taken Shahada when we've just gone out and spoken to them for a few minutes about Islam. They've taken Shahada. And who knows how many have taken Shahada later. So if that is the impact, so if going out and meeting somebody and they could take Shahada, and look at my experience, I'm not praising myself, I'm just like, sort of normal person, normal Muslim, whatever, below average in most ways. But whatever deeds that I have done are written on this sister, I don't even remember her name, this sister's book, right? Well, how do you know when we go out, that the person you meet and you speak with, and we meet mostly non-Muslims, right? 99% of the people we meet is non-Muslims, right? Occasionally we meet a Muslim because we go to bus stops, right? So occasionally we meet a Muslim there. And we don't go up to people, they come up to us. And we meet maybe 3, 4, 5 people every Sunday. But we're only out there from about, say, 10:30 we actually get there. And in the wintertime we leave around 11:45 because Zohar is at 12:15. So we're out there for an hour and 15 minutes. We're not talking all day, guys. We're there for an hour and 15 minutes, right? In the summertime, we meet at 10 o'clock, need to be back here at 1. So say we leave here at 10:30, get there at 11 to 12:45, hour and 45 minutes. We have no idea the impact that we have. My Amir, he had some great sayings, and there's this one saying that always stuck with me. He says, you can count the number of seeds in an apple, right? You open it up, you can count the seeds, they're right there, but you cannot count the number of apples in that seed. And that is what the dawah and tabligh of the Deen al-Islam is like. And I know people, they disagree with it. Oh, don't do this, don't do that. But nobody can disagree with going out and doing dawah to non-Muslims. Who can disagree? Oh, we shouldn't be doing that. No. Who among us, does not have, say you get here at 9:30, right? Zohar is at 12:30, so that's 2 hours, 45 minutes. Who does not have 2 hours and 45 minutes once a month? And if you say to yourself, I don't, and if you say that to me, I'll believe you. Oh, mashallah, brother's very busy. But in my heart, I'm thinking, you're lying to yourself. Everyone, once a month at least, has an hour and 45 minutes or an hour and a half to go out and do that. Because look at what the benefits are. Look at what the benefits are. You can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you cannot count the number of apples in a seed. And that is what the dawah and tabligh of Deen al-Islam is like. Right? So, as I said last week, in this masjid, we don't talk about a lot of theory. You know, you go to many places and they talk about the greatness of Allah. Everybody knows Allah is great. We know about that. You know, we're good, right? What my Emir, whom I refer to often, what he insisted on is that we talk about things that people can take hold of and put into practice and do something to better their situation on the Day of Judgment. Hafiz Saab has been speaking about reading the Quran lately, and that really moved me. You know, I wasn't reading the half a juz a day as he was recommending, and all I had was excuses. And listening to him, I was like, oh man, I have to struggle for that, right? Speak about Salat with Jamaat many times. This is what our deen is like. Our deen is to be practiced. It is to be practiced. Right? So let's, actually, I was going to read some hadith, but we're at the time. And, yeah. Astaghfirullah. Alhamdulillahi kama yanbaghi li jalali wajhihi wa azim sultan wa ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. I forgot to say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ma sha'allahu la quwwata illa billah ya hayyu ya qayyum. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعليه وتراته بيد كل من منك استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه يا حي يا قيوم. الحمد لله كما ينبغي لجلال وجهه وعظيم السلطان وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله واصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اما بعد فيا عباد الله اتقوا الله تعالى ولا تموتن الا انتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم واحذروا البدع والمحدثات فإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل بدعة ضلالة. اعلموا أن الله سبحانه وتعالى أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه فقال سبحانه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم البشير النذير والسراج المنير ورد. اللهم عن الخلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن بقية الصحابة وعن التابعين وتابعي التابعين من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وأن معهم بعفوك وكرمك وإحسانك يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون اذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروا على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقيموا الصلاة